Okay, I think we're up and running. So, a little bit earlier this weekend, the Fokker Friendship arrived in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and I didn't know it had been released because I was busy elsewhere. So I finally got a chance to download it earlier, and then we went out for the evening. So I've just got back. It's already 10 o'clock in the evening, but I'm not going to let the chance pass to go and have a look at it. So we're going to go around it with a drone camera first, and then we'll go and take it for a flight. I've set the time to the morning in the Netherlands. So we'll go and fly from Lelystad. We're on the ground at Lelystad, by the way. So we're on the ground at Lelystad. We're going to go and fly around some of the updated areas in the Netherlands and Belgium. So we're going to retrace the steps we did this morning in the C208, but this time in the Fokker Friendship. So it should be good fun. A bit of a navigation exercise. So let's go and have a look around the airplane, see how well modelled it is. I understand it's been developed by Inibuilds, and it looks pretty spectacular, doesn't it? I mean, the level of detail in some of these structures is just nuts, isn't it? Let's go and have a look at the tyres. It's very cool. I have got multiplayer on. If we get the issues where people are trying to stay in shot, I may turn multiplayer off, but I'll try not to. I'm on the West Europe server if anybody wants to join along and fly along with me. All I would ask is please don't play silly games with trying to stay in shot on the live stream. There really aren't going to be that many people watching it. You're not going to get your 15 minutes of fame. Okay, let's have a look inside the aeroplane. So I've not looked around the aeroplane properly myself yet, so this is a first for me as well. Interesting, they've actually modelled luggage along the panels. That's quite cool. And then in the cockpit, if you've not seen it yet, it's really nicely modelled actually. I'm just trying to slow the drone camera down a bit. So the instruments are really, really nicely done. Quadrant as well. If you look overhead, there's quite a lot on the roof actually, and it's kind of spread around. So when you look over the top of the pilots' heads, it makes for quite an interesting exercise in trying to get the right views if you're just learning where things are. Because yeah, the controls really do spread all the way around the roof above the pilots' heads. So I'm seeing some notes about it. It's difficult to flare. I did have a fly of it earlier, and yeah, you have to stay under power. It sinks quite dramatically. So you need to be mindful of airspeed on landing. We'll have a look at that. We'll do a couple of touch and goes before we leave Lelystad. Anyway, so there's the looking around the model. There's some options in the tablet to swap the avionics out. But you have to remember the era this aeroplane is. It's an analog cockpit. It's not going to have a glass cockpit no matter what you choose. Although you can have a strapped on FMC or flight management computer on top of the glare shield. So, should we go and get it up and running? I'm going to turn my Xbox controller off so it doesn't cause havoc. I've actually invested in a proper Xbox controller at last. A new one. So press Shift and X and we are inside the cockpit. So I've been busy writing up a functional procedure to start the airplane up that does mostly what it says in the EFB. So if we go and have a quick look at this to show you, it has got checklists. There's all sorts of bits and pieces missing from them that you might do in the real world. Yeah, as you can see, like multiplayer, we've got people buzzing around. That's all fine. So we'll work around this together, and I may end up changing the order of this to simplify it in places or to make it a little bit more logical. So Shift and 5 takes us overhead. I'm going to go and put the battery switch on first. And external power can go on as well. Then again, I've gone and used a custom view for this. There is no view that takes you over here quickly. Alt and 1 is bringing me over here. And we can set the cabin altitude. We're probably only going to be a couple of thousand feet today. So I'm going to set it to 3,000 feet, which means it probably won't kick in at all. Okay, so Shift and 7 will take us back to the overhead left side, and we want to go and actually go and set the fasten seatbelt sign and the no smoking signs to on. And then we want to pan further up, and we want to put the anti-collision light to on. And then we want to press Shift and 6, which will take us to the right side of the cockpit, and put the left booster pumps on. I'm just looking around. So there's port valve test. Here we go. So the left booster pumps on, and the right booster pumps on. So that's the fuel booster pumps. So Shift 9 takes us down to the HPC levers. So we want to, if we look at this, so there's the throttles, yeah. HPC, so this is basically fuel control levers. We can move them to the open state. And then Shift and 7 takes us back overhead, but we need to pan up in the air, and we need to put the nav light to on. So this is where I think we can make some order changes to do things in a slightly more efficient manner. So then we're going to go and start the engines. So overhead again, you've got a selector here between the engines. So we're going to start left engine first. So we're going to switch this to port. Then we're going to put the master switch to start, and then we're going to press the starter button, and it should light up, and there it goes. And if we watch outside, you'll see the engine come up. And it should be fully automatic, the engine start. I'm not sure if they're going to model... Yeah, you can see the hot air pouring out of the exhaust now. You can see the blur. So we'll wait for that to stabilize. We're just watching the gauges here. And then Shift and 5. The port generator we go and put to on. And then Shift and 7 we can go and turn alternator number 1 on. And then we're going to do the same for the right engine. So we're going to flick this over to the starboard engine. We are going to put the start master, make sure it's on start, still it is. Hold the starter on and it will light up. And we can go and watch this engine come up to speed. Obviously, inside the cockpit, if we press Shift and Space, you can watch the gauges spinning round. You can see, actually, it's behind the lever there, look. So it's stabilized already, mostly. So once it's stabilized... Oh, there we go, look. That's the fuel coming in and it accelerating. So Shift and 5, put the generator on to starboard. And then Shift and 7 takes us over this side, put the other alternator on. Post engine start, Shift 5 again, set the starter to safe. The external power switch in the middle can go to off if it's on already, so that it was on, look, so we turn it off. Then Shift and 6 takes us over to this side. The pitot heaters can go to on or up. And I'm just wondering where they are. Have I pressed the wrong button here? Shift and 6. Here we go, pitot heater switches. Go and put them on. And we can rotate the windshield de-icing as needed. I don't think we're going to need it, to be honest, but just looking at what options we do get. I've not had a really good look around yet. So there's windshield de-icing over here, look, so we can turn it to middle or high, or we'll just put it on low the whole time. So back in the cockpit, we can go and look at our flap lever and make sure we've got 16.5 degrees of flaps for takeoff. We can go and calibrate the altimeter. Now, in the tablet, you get the option to open and close doors, so we'll close all doors. We'll remove the ground power unit. And you do get a nice... I've got a Navigraph installed, by the way, so I get a Navigraph map, which is quite cool. And you obviously get access to Navigraph charts as well. In the options, you get to choose the radio you're going to be using. I'm going to stick with the WT, or the working title, 430, which stays up there. We have got a weather radar. We can turn it on. Obviously, you normally wouldn't do that on the ground, but I just wanted to show you it. So let's go and OK the GPS. While we're waiting for that, I should still have the flight plan from earlier available to me. So if I go into the flight planner and go to the route and open from the web, it should still be there. Yeah, it is. So there's our flight plan, and we want to send that to the avionics. So when we send it, there we go, it's available to us now. Okay, it's all looking good so far, isn't it? The only problem with the 430 is you don't get an arc mode, but you can change it to north facing, but it's such a narrow screen, there's no real point, so you may as well just leave it. Sorry, I meant aircraft facing. Yeah, so it's north facing by default. Okay, so we've calibrated the altimeters, I think. I press comment, yes, we have. We can set the heading bug, and so let's go and explain some of this stuff to you. So heading bug is here. This is just a directional gyro. So if we press Ctrl-Alt-Z, you can see it was massively out. So Ctrl-Alt-Z, I've mapped that key to align the directional gyro to the compass. And we'll check up here. We've got this set to GPS on the GNS 430, so it will follow the route when we want it to. The autopilot is a bit of a piece of work. There's the autopilot master switch down here. So the engage button here doesn't do anything. That is the on-off switch for the autopilot. And then you basically got heading mode and nav mode, altitude hold, and pitch mode, so you can push the nose up and down while you're flying along. So as long as altitude hold or approach mode are not on, then this will control pitch. So it's very, very basic. The top buttons or knobs aren't implemented. Okay, so overhead we got the external lights. So we've got landing lights, and you can extend them and turn them on and off. So we're going to turn them on just to see what they look like. We've got taxi lights as well. So we're going to have a look outside. Not particularly shiny, are they? Now, I haven't walked around and done anything, so I'm going to go and get rid of the chocks. You have to click on the chock on this wheel, as far as I'm aware. The one on the nose wheel won't do anything. We also need to get rid of the pitot covers. Okay, so jump back inside. So I have got say intentions working today. Let's just remind ourselves we are X-Ray Golf Sierra. So we're DHL X-Ray Golf Sierra. Let's go and get the chart up in Navigraph as well. So if we go and open the airport information for Lelystad and show ourselves on the map, there we are. And let's go and talk to ground. So it's going to be tower in this case, I guess. So 12383. Tower DHL X-Ray Golf Sierra requesting taxi to runway. Oh, we've hit a problem with say intentions, haven't we?
Taxi via main apron. Hold short runway 23.
Let's see if we can fix that. I was trying to be too clever. I thought we'd have to put in our call sign as capital letters. So let's try it without that. Just try that and auto it. What we might have to do is write it in phonetically. So let's try that again. DHL X-Ray Golf Sierra, radio check please. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. So they want us to taxi via Lelystad Tower, Golf Sierra requesting taxi to runway, taxi to main apron, hold short runway 23. So runway 23 is here. So we're just going to go and taxi down to Sierra, I guess, Sierra 1. They haven't told us specifically, have they? Taxi to main apron. Okay, we've got somebody watching us, which is going to be fun. So I'm going to have to cut across the grass to go around them. So let me just straighten things out here a second. See, I don't know if this is a human or a Say Intentions aeroplane because I've got multiplayer on. So I'm cutting across the grass. Apparently the double windsock problem is a known bug with the simulator, with certain sceneries. It does look nice, doesn't it? Tower DHL X-Ray Golf Sierra holding short runway 23.
Approaching runway 23.
X-Ray Golf Sierra, runway 23, winds calm, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 23, DHL X-Ray Golf Sierra.
Uniform Foxtrot Zulu, runway 23, taxi via Hotel Sierra, Sierra 7, hold short of runway 05, then November 3, November.
Runway 23, taxi via Hotel Sierra, Sierra 7, hold short of runway 05, then November 3, November, Uniform Foxtrot Zulu.
Okay, just before we get going then, I'm going to quickly go and set our heading bug to the direction of the runway. There doesn't appear to be, it's got acceleration in it, which does help. But yeah, it's a bit of a pain. Okay, should we get going? So park and brake off. Now, being a local legend, I'm not sure if you can overstress the engines. You probably can't. Yeah, it's gone up to the edge of the red on the PSI. It's a bit twitchy
Juliet Golf
on the
Victor, hold
ground.
short of runway 5.
Holding short, Papa Hotel Juliet Golf Victor.
Do you know, I may change the weather. It's a bit misty, isn't it? Let's move it further into the day and see if the weather clears up. Apparently not. Okay, let's pull it round. So we're just coming up to 1,500 feet. It's quite misty, isn't it? I wonder if we wind the time even further into the day, I wonder if it'll fix that for us. Oh, it's into the evening already, look. I think this is broken. Because there's live, obviously it's night time.
Approaching runway 5. Caution! Caution!
Just dropping down to 1,000. Tower DHL X-Ray Golf Sierra requesting touch and go, runway 23.
X-Ray Golf Sierra, runway 23, left circuits approved. Report downwind each time.
Downwind for touch and go, runway 23, X-Ray Golf Sierra.
X-Ray Golf Sierra, runway 23, cleared for touch and go.
Cleared for touch and go, runway 23, X-Ray Golf Sierra. It does seem very nose heavy. Once you get below about 130 knots, You don't have any elevator authority. So powered landings are the name of the game.
Approaching runway 23.
Yeah, you need to keep the speed above 110. A little bit low. And there's a bit of a crosswind happening, but we can fix that. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's you have to come in under power at speed. I think that flight model needs a bit of work. So you're looking at coming in 120 knots on the limit of the flaps to combat that. Okay, let's go and set off on our route, shall we? We'll have a play with navigation along the way. So I'm going to turn head tracking off for a bit. Align the plane roughly up the direction we want to go. Let's go and scoot the view forwards a bit so we can get to the heading bug. Then we're going to go autopilot on and heading mode on and see what happens to vertical speed. At the moment we're climbing quite steeply, so flaps all the way up now. Don't need the landing lights on anymore. They're way further up here, aren't they? So retract them and turn them off. Turn the taxi lights off as well. So obviously we've got GPS navigation up here. It's switched to GPS at the moment, so we could press the nav switch instead of the heading switch and it will flick over. So now it's going to track the route. Obviously we're not controlling climb rate at all, so let's have a play with that. So if we go down and that's controlled it. I probably held it on a bit too much there. Yeah, so you need to give it a nudge, I guess. So there we go. So if we climb out to say, actually 3,500 feet would be good, wouldn't it? So let's bring it back down. Oh, down is forwards. I do apologise. I'm just watching the climb rate there. So coming down at 500 feet a minute until we get to 3,500. Let's see if the altitude pre-selector actually does anything. Will it enable... will it go to altitude hold automatically when we get there? Watch the altitude button here. Will it pull down on its own, or is it up to us to do it? Is that just for the audio alert maybe? So there's 3,500 feet and it's not going to do it for us, so we need to go and press it. Okay, so we are chugging along 3,500 feet on our way across the countryside.
Since we're flying near Lelystad, the closest city is Lelystad itself. Lelystad is actually one of the youngest cities in the Netherlands, officially founded in 1967. It was built on land reclaimed from the IJsselmeer, which used to be part of the Zuiderzee, before the Dutch closed it off with the Afsluitdijk. The city is named after Cornelis Lely, the engineer who designed the massive Zuiderzee works that made all this possible.
Okay, so we're leaving Lelystad behind, so we're going to go and tell Tower we're leaving their airspace. Lelystad Tower, DHL X-Ray Golf Sierra, leaving your airspace. And we're just going to go VFR, so we'll go to Common Traffic Advisory Frequency.
Till X-Ray Golf Sierra, remain below TMA transponder VFR. Bye-bye.
Okay. Because we're just going sightseeing and doing a bit of navigation along the way to try the aeroplane out. Let's go and close the browser. I'm just trying to chop down things we're running so we're not running too many things. Okay, so and activate that leg so we can actually see the route we're going. Going into the heart of Amsterdam. Okay, I'm going to disable the autopilot and dip down below this cloud, or try to. Down to 2,500 feet. If we can get to 1,500 and be below the cloud, that'd be perfect, to be honest. It's not really a sightseeing aeroplane, but it gives us a good chance to put it through its paces, really, doesn't it? Hey, you're coming down towards 1,500 feet. Yeah, the cloud's going to be in the way. It's a shame. I don't remember this cloud being here earlier. I'm trying to remember what time I was here. Maybe I set the time to way earlier in the day. Because the weather should pick up from what, you know, whatever it was at that hour of the day. There we go. That's better. So you can actually see what we're doing. The weather did come in a bit later in the day, so it's not a problem. Gone a bit low. Now, we did see this earlier. Particular directions you look were causing the simulator to stutter with the new scenery update. So I don't know what they've done. Oh, here we go. It's now updated with morning mist, which is wonderful. I'm going to go and turn the weather off. We'll go for a few clouds or scattered clouds. That will do, won't it? You'll notice if you look certain directions, it behaves itself. Look at that flickering. Now what's causing that? Is that the propellers? It is, isn't it? That's the shadow of the propellers. So notice if we look this way, perfectly smooth. If we look that way, it's stuttering. I noticed this earlier with it. It's something about the port complex. It doesn't like it. Notice what I mean? Look, if you look away from the port complex, it's perfectly smooth.
At our 10 o'clock, about 5 kilometers out, you'll spot the Olympisch Stadion, Amsterdam's Olympic Stadium. Built for the 1928 Summer Olympics, this stadium was designed by architect Jan Wills and is now a national monument. It's famous for its Art Deco style and the Marathon Tower, which was used to light the Olympic flame. Over the years, it's hosted everything from Olympic events to epic football matches and even concerts. If you look closely, you might imagine the roar of the crowd from nearly a century ago. Though today, it's more likely to be filled with runners and sports fans reliving a bit of Olympic glory.
Yeah, something about that area is murdering the sim. Because look, as soon as it's out of view, so what are the first impressions of the aeroplane? It's great. If you like this sort of aeroplane, it's wonderful. So I'm going to take us back up to a few thousand feet and we'll carry on with our route. So we're just going to carry on round and head south. There's a few bugs, isn't there, with boats in the canals. They haven't tested it very thoroughly. So we're just turning around to south. And we'll get up to 2,500 feet. Actually, no, let's drop down to 1,500. The trouble is, I'm thinking we're not really a GA plane, are we? We'd be better off at altitude. So let's take it up. I want to stay below the cloud base, though. Oh, I'm really dithering about this. 1,500's good. So, while we're descending, let's get the heading bug back round to 180. Autopilot on, heading mode on, and altitude hold on. Except we've descended, before we could get altitude hold on, we've descended down to 1,100 feet, look. And it's not responding very quickly. It takes it a while. So what we can do is just leave it altitude hold off and then use the pitch controller. So it's climbing 500 feet a minute and it will keep doing that. It will wobble around, but we'll just leave it to it, and then we'll hit altitude control or altitude hold when we get to 1,500 feet again. We're going broadly the right direction according to the GPS, and we can put this on the first page of the page. Let me just turn the head tracking off. It's being a real so-and-so. Let's turn the thing off. So we got 3 minutes to go, 7 miles.
Falkenberg Naval traffic, Papa Hotel Kilo Yankee Quebec taxiing to runway 5, Falkenberg Naval.
So we're approaching 1,500 feet. So we can go altitude hold now. And it's trimming itself out, look. It's trying to go back to the point at which I engaged it. And there we go, it's controlling altitude now. So we're on heading mode and altitude mode. It'd be worth trying actually, if we go to nav mode, will it go left onto the track? Yes, it will. So we're slightly to the right of the track at the moment. And we don't actually have an HSI, do we? But we have got yeah, so regardless of the course, when you're in GPS mode, this is going to show your position with the CDI relative to the track. Obviously, if we change it to VOR mode, then we get to choose the course. Are there any VORs around that we can try it with? We're just about to fly over the top of Brucklin, by the way.
The closest city is Amstelveen.
Or Brooklyn,
Amstelveen
I
is
should
famous
say.
for its beautiful parks and green spaces, especially the Amsterdam's Bos, which is 3 times the size of Central Park in New York. The city grew rapidly in the 20th century as people moved out of Amsterdam for a bit more space and fresh air. Amstelveen is also known for its modern art museum, which houses works by artists like Karel Appel and Kazimir Malevich.
So I'm going to ask our tour guide a little bit about Brooklyn, which is the town we're just passing. Hi Sarah, we're passing a town on the bend of the river here. Is it pronounced Brooklyn?
Great question. The town is actually pronounced Brookellen. And fun fact, it's where Brooklyn in New York got its name.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Brookellen?
I'm sorry, but I don't have any information about Sprukelling. It might be a small locality or not widely documented.
No, I said Brookellen.
Brookellen is pronounced roughly as Brookellen, and it's the Dutch town that gave Brooklyn, New York its name.
That's all she knows about it, isn't it? Okay, off across the countryside we go. So next leg takes us to, let's have a look at the map, Utrecht. And obviously you can see it right in front of us. Hi Sarah, what can you tell us about Utrecht?
Utrecht is one of the oldest cities in the Netherlands, founded as a Roman fort around 47 AD, and it's famous for its medieval Dom Tower, which is the tallest church tower in the country. The city is also known for its picturesque canals with unique wharf cellars, now filled with cafes and shops. Utrecht University, established in 1636, is one of the oldest universities in the Netherlands. The city played a major role in Dutch religious history, being the seat of the Archbishop of Utrecht.
Scenery is really, really good, isn't it? The bridges are really nicely done. So we're heading into a turn, right over the centre of the industrial area, and then we're going to head 40 miles to the south towards Eindhoven. Just moving the view up in the cockpit so you get to see the scenery as well as the cockpit as we fly along. Now that's a railway station. Okay, so we've got a bit of a stretch out across the countryside now, down towards Eindhoven. Just going to go and have a look at some of these. So I wonder what lockout does. I have to go and have a read. Obviously there's no reading materials with the aeroplane yet, as far as I'm aware. So what I've figured out so far is either just by following the instructions or digging around and figuring things out for myself. It's like, yeah, we haven't gone and switched on this yet. Distance measuring equipment. Which obviously is not going to be doing anything unless we tune in a VOR station. We're flying down towards Eindhoven, but it's only got Tecan by the look of it. Yeah, it hasn't got VOR, which is a bit of a shame. Once we leave Eindhoven though and head towards Deurne or Antwerp, we can tune into the VOR there and do a bit of radio navigation. So it's saying here the cargo door is unlocked. Oh no, that would be lit up. That's off. So these are not illuminated. If you press them in, look, it shows you what they actually look like. So can we have the map and zoom out slightly? Very cool. So just reading the comment there, asking if we can turn the clouds off. I'm going to leave them on, but I'll stable load a cloud base. I've set them to custom clouds anyway, so we'll have a consistent cloud base everywhere. And because the Netherlands is so flat, it shouldn't be a problem. So we'll be 1,500 feet above the ground all the way around the circuit.
At our 11 o'clock, about a kilometer out, you'll spot the winding Lek River. This river has been a major waterway in the Netherlands since Roman times, and is still crucial for shipping and flood management today. The Dutch have built an impressive series of dikes and locks along the Lek to keep the water in check. It's basically the original Dutch fitness program, hauling sandbags. The riverbanks are dotted with old windmills and tiny villages, and from above, you can see how the landscape has been shaped by centuries of water engineering.
Okay, so we're heading down towards Eindhoven. Then when we get there, we'll turn. Should we go and see if there's many other people around? There are. But not in the sky. Those are just boats that are being lit up. Okay, so let's go and have a look, see how many minutes until we get to Eindhoven. 11 minutes, according to this. So I'm going to take the opportunity to go make a quick coffee. I should be back in time before we get to Eindhoven. Okay, back in a moment.
Since there aren't any major landmarks right below us, let me tell you about the closest city. OSOS has been inhabited since the Stone Age, and archaeologists have found burial mounds and Roman artifacts in the area. The city grew around the River Maas and became a center for trade and industry in the 19th century, especially in meat processing and pharmaceuticals. If you look down, you might spot the patchwork of fields and canals that are so typical of this part of the Netherlands. OS is also known for its annual carnival and some surprisingly lively festivals for a town its size.
Okay, I'm back. So whereabouts are we? Still a few miles out from Eindhoven, so I haven't missed much. So let's have a little look around the cockpit and see what we get in this aeroplane. So there's a clock. We've got the wheel brakes, pneumatic pressure, which is quite cool. So can we pop off the yoke so we can see behind it, just for illustrative purposes for a few moments. So there we go, pneumatic pressure. And we've got a turn coordinator, or slip indicator I should say. Indicated airspeed in knots, an attitude indicator, altimeter, vertical speed indicator. I'm guessing this is ADF. Without having tuned it in yet. Oh, it may just be the VO. Actually, no, it's going to be VORs, isn't it? Because I don't think it has an ADF radio. Yeah, it's the VORs. Or nav pointers. We'll have a play with that in a moment. As I said, once we turn away from Eindhoven, we'll be flying towards Antwerp and the Douane VOR. So in terms of engine instruments, oh, there's an attitude indicator there, by the way, and then we got the PSI for each engine, and we got the air for the gearbox apparently. Fuel flow each side, oil temperatures and pressures, and down out of view behind the quadrant, a synchronoscope. Oh no, synchroscope, sorry. Interesting. And then obviously RPM. It's interesting that you don't control the RPM of the engines. It seems to be automatic. Obviously you've got trim wheels and the autopilot's making them spin at the moment. So here's the main autopilot controls. As I said, not everything is operable, so you just use the master power switch here for the autopilot, and then you've got obviously heading, nav mode, back course, which is quite handy. Altitude hold, there's an approach button as well, so it will grab the glide slope. Then you've got your trim, flap lever, and you can switch between nav 1 nav 2 on the radios. Over on the co-pilot side, there is a altitude pre-selector, but it doesn't actually interact with the autopilot as far as I'm aware. We've got marker lights. I'm guessing that's for the VORs when you're flying down the approach pipe. Overhead, there's a whole ton of stuff. So you've got the alternators, then you've got the external lights, internal lights, and I haven't actually had a good look around this. So you've got the comm radios up here, look. Oh, there, it does have ADF, okay. But I wonder if it works. Yeah, you do seem to be able to tune it. Okay, so but you can't rotate the antenna loops. Okay. Nav radios, DME, weather radar. Okay, that's the settings for the weather radar that we can see the orange panel for down in the cockpit. There's a lot to play with, isn't there? So then you've got generators, voltmeters, obviously the power bus transfer switches when you're firing the plane up. fuel control switches.
At our 12
Interesting.
o'clock, about
So
5
can you do
kilometers
water
out,
injection
you'll
to
spot
get
Henry
extra
Dunant
power?
Park. This park is named after Henry Dunant, the founder of the Red Cross and the first recipient of the Nobel Peace
And then
Prize.
icing controls,
It's
obviously.
a favorite spot for locals to relax, have picnics,
pretty
and
sure
even
the
spot
breakers
the
don't
occasional
work.
daredevil squirrel
No.
trying to steal a sandwich. The park was designed to blend natural landscapes with recreational spaces. So from above, you can see winding paths, ponds, and plenty of green open areas. It's a great example of how Dutch cities weave nature right into their urban fabric.
Okay, so we're about to arrive over the top of Eindhoven. Some amazing scenery now, isn't there? It's very impressive. So we're going to do a right turn, probably right over the top of the stadium, I would imagine. Yeah. Let's keep it in view. So obviously that's PSV's stadium. Very good photogrammetry, isn't it? Look at the detail in the road junctions, some of the suburban roads. Okay, I did promise we would have a play with VOR radio navigation. So we're going to get the heading bug pointing the direction we're going. We'll just let it stabilize for a moment. Okay, so we've stabilized. So we're going to go back to heading mode on the autopilot, which will free us up to go and switch the GPS out of GPS to VLOC mode. And then we're going to go and switch the focus over to the nav radio frequencies, and we're going to go and tune in the Duan VOR, which is 11350. So 113, so we just need to change the decimals. And then switch it to active, and you should see this come alive. Famous last words. What's the range on it? 40 miles. Oh, we're further than 40 miles away, aren't we? So if we go and measure the distance, or add a range ring around it, that'll be even more interesting. Oh, we're just inside 40 miles. So this should. Maybe at the altitude we're at, it's not picking up. So we're coming in at what, 250 degrees. So we're in VLOC mode. Why is it not picking the signal up? It should be. And it's flat as a pancake around here, so No excuses. And the distance measuring should be picking up as well. What's it doing overhead? Where are we? 110.5. 113.5.
At our 12 o'clock, about 2 kilometers out, you'll spot the village of Happert. This small Dutch
That's
town
nav
is surrounded by
2.
classic Brabant countryside. Think patchwork fields, winding streams, and clusters of old farmhouses.
Oh, that's not actually
Happert has
interactive.
been around since at
Interesting.
least the Middle Ages, and the area is dotted with ancient boundary stones that once marked the limits of local lordships. From above, you might notice the straight lines of the canal system, a testament to Dutch water management skills that have kept these fields fertile for centuries.
That's not picking anything up, is it? Let me check the frequency. 11350, 11350, that's correct. Let's try a different one, 110.6. And switch that to active. And that hasn't picked that one up either. Why is the nav radio not working? I did have it working earlier, so it's probably something I've done. This has got me puzzled now. So this is set to nav 1. That isn't interactive. Oops, I didn't want to move the flap lever. So is it just the weather is causing it to not pick it up, or is it broken? It's frustrating, isn't it? What could we have missed? Should we ever play with the Tacan? Oh, the Tacans are all behind us now, aren't they? Still, it's a mystery why it's not picking that one up. Or that one. Put the transponder on, hey? I need to add the transponder. I'm writing the functional procedure up for the aeroplane. It's not in the notes of the aeroplane itself, so I need to go and add that. So this is really a proving flight for me to see where everything is and see what we've missed along the way. Why is the VOR radio not working? That's a mystery. Okay, how far away are we anyway? So, 10 minutes to go, 25 miles out from where we are at the moment. So, let's go and push the throttles all the way forwards and see if we can damage the engines or if it just will take it. So, we're going to push them all the way forwards. And I think it's going to be fine. The aeroplanes that are released as local legends tend to be indestructible. They're not the most accurately simulated. So we're up to nearly 180 knots, look. We're running the engines flat out. So what happens if we push this forwards? Does it actually do anything? Is it modelled to do anything? I don't think it is. we have got a VOR signal. So if we switch this back to the other frequency, and it seems to almost be working. So it picked up that one. That had a range of 40 miles as well. But it only just picked it up recently, so maybe we'll get the 11350, which we
At our
tuned
12
to
o'clock, just a few
very
miles out,
soon.
you'll spot the town of Ravels. It's a classic Belgian village surrounded by forests and farmland, and it's been around since at least the Middle Ages. Ravels is known for its beautiful walking and
Keep
cycling
an eye on
paths,
the-
which wind through the pine woods and heathlands.
So if we switch
Perfect for
this,
anyone who
is
loves
the
a bit
distance
of
measuring
nature with
equipment
their
working?
history.
It's lit up, so it's pointing at it, but the DME's not doing anything. And that's just gone to off, basically. Maybe it just doesn't have it in its database or something crazy. So let's try the next one. This is the Nikki VOR 11740. I'm just testing it really to see what does and doesn't work. That's working. So for whatever reason it hasn't got the Douane VOR. It's saying a course of 251 to get to it. Which would make sense that if you extend our track, it's going to hit Nikki. Shall we, if we show information for Douane, have they got a tower? Yes, they have, 135205. Can we see it here? No, not yet. 135205. So if we switch frequencies to 125, .305. Douane Tower, DHL X-Ray Golf Sierra requesting touch and go. So if we get permission, we'll turn 212 degrees. Tower 132205. I've got the frequency wrong. It's 135205, not 125305. I've transposed it. That was rather crafty of me, wasn't it? So it should have been 135205. Change that back to active. Douane Tower, DHL X-Ray Golf Sierra requesting touch and go.
Del X-Ray Golf Sierra, runway 29er, left circuit approved. Report downwind each time.
Runway 29er, left circuit's approved, will report downwind each time, X-Ray Golf Sierra. So we're just turning left then. To do this, we need to go downwind for it. So we need to go around the airfield. So actually, yeah, we'll turn back then. We'll go over the top of Antwerp and then circle back. Famous last words, if I can get it to do that. So what we actually want to do then from about, we're going to turn back to about here, aren't we? We'll go back in towards Antwerp, overfly Antwerp, then double back and go left. So then will be left circuit, downwind. We can announce we're downwind. So we want to be about 265 degrees. 240, 250, 26, control Alt Z, and it's drifted, look. 250, 260, 5 degrees. So we're just coming into the track to head into downtown Antwerp, which is right ahead of us down here. So yeah, Bill in the live stream comments has noticed, yeah, some of the switches don't work. He hasn't found a way to switch to nav 2. I don't think there is a way to switch to nav 2. Or not to switch the nav instrument to use nav 2 anyway. It would appear that it should be this switch here. Possibly. I don't know. You'd think that would go between nav 1 and nav 2, wouldn't you? I don't know. I'm probably wrong about that. It's difficult to tell with some of the switches what the labels, or which labels apply to which switches in places, because it's a bit like somebody had a bit of a field day with a Dymo machine. Okay, so this is downtown Antwerp. There's a very famous railway station here.
Runway 29er, cleared for touch and go.
Runway 29er, cleared for touch and go. We'll be there in a couple of minutes. So just want to have a quick look at the railway station. Seeing as we're here in Antwerp, we may as well go look at it. This is it down here, isn't it? And then we'll do a 90-degree left turn and go in towards the airport for the touch and go. That photogrammetry is spectacular, isn't it? There's the famous railway station. Okay, left turn glide. So, given this rate of turn, we may as well just go for 110 degrees and then slow the aeroplane down when we're on the downwind. Just remember, we're still going flat out at the moment, hence this enormous turn radius. Then as soon as we level up, I'll pull the throttles back, and then when we are adjacent to the airfield, I'll call down wind, and then I'll hand fly it in to runway 29. It might be quite good fun actually to go and tune in the ILS, so 11175. That will, of course, need us to do the course as well for it to make sense.
Caution, caution.
So, course for the ILS will be 288 degrees. Okay, so we are now downwind. Tower, DHL X-Ray Golf Sierra, downwind, touch and go, runway 29. Off the autopilot.
Golf Sierra, runway 29er, clear touch and go. X-Ray Golf Sierra, runway 29er, clear for touch and go.
Clear to Cleared for touch and go, runway 29, X-ray Golf Sierra. And let's go and put the head tracking on so we can look around the corner and see the airfield coming. And there it is. So we should see the localizer and glide slope come in as we line up. Given we're doing it extremely late though. So here they come, look, there's the localizer and the glide slope, they're working nicely.
Approaching runway 29.
Look at it sink. As soon as you pull the power back from 75%, it just sinks like a stone. There's something very wrong in the flight model. Okay, just came up to 1500 feet. I don't really want to go beyond the cloud base, so I'm just going to dip us back down again. Yeah, it's kind of strange. It becomes very, very heavy as soon as you pull the power back, which doesn't seem right to me. So I'm just pulling the heading bug back round. Drop us back down to 1500 feet above sea level, which all you have to do by the look of it is just pull the throttles back a little bit and it sinks. It's very odd. Okay, off to the races again. So we're coming in towards the projected route, and we're on our way, if we're going to have a look at the map, to Bruges. It's going to take us about 15 minutes to get that. We turn head tracking off. The click spots on this are very small. There we go. So obviously if we go and switch over to nav mode, it is odd that it doesn't have much range on its nav radio. It seems falsely bad, if that makes sense. So let's put it back on GPS mode. So it should pick up the trail and start guiding on it. So you should see left wing down any moment. I think it's just very, very gently. You can see the horizon moving against that bolt. The aeroplane's very gently turning left. Okay, let's find another VOR to test this with then. So if we go for the Costa VOR, 11005. So the aeroplane's going roughly the right direction. Is there a north wind? No. Okay, why hasn't it turned left yet then? We're in nav mode. Oh no, we're not, that's why. Now it's turning left. It does seem to be this has some sort of synchronized propeller pitch, so your power isn't just the RPM, it's also controlling the propeller condition. So there is some logic in there somewhere. And looking at the wing shape, yeah, that airflow over the wing is going to change drastically depending on the amount of power you've got. So maybe that means a lot in this aeroplane. And I'm guessing this channel through here is pivotal. Okay, so we've got a few minutes. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. We get to relax as we hurtle across the Dutch countryside. Sorry, this is the Belgian countryside now. I do apologise. We've crossed the border, haven't we? Yeah, quite some time ago. Although we are going to briefly cross back into Dutch airspace, and then we'll be back into Belgian airspace again. I keep forgetting we've got this map on the tablet so we can actually see where we are here. So Bruges is just over here. The Noyon waypoint, is that appearing on here? We've got... There's the Costa VOR. So, okay, it's to the southwest of that. It's not in view yet. So there's Bruges, which we're heading directly for. It's interesting, isn't it? Because you can do almost the same thing in here. Then you can change the layers that appear in here. It's not as good though, is it? Should we have a play with moving around the cockpit? We have a message of the 430 trying to tell us what direction to fly. So 10 minutes to go, or 11 minutes to go. If we open the engines up, get there a little bit more quickly. Yeah, so I wonder if Inibuilds will fix a few of these little rough edges that we've discovered. Should we go and change to the center frequency so we can hear other traffic nearby? Well, there being nighttime, we're probably not going to hear very much, are we? There's a few things around. Because in the real world, although I've got it here as daytime, should we have a look and see what the night lighting's like actually? If I go back to live weather, it's obviously going to get dark as well. Interesting. So let's go and have a look. If we just wind this back for a moment, just want to see where the lights are. So they're up here, look. Internal instrument lighting. But that's not the dome or the flood lighting. Although there is one up there, look. So maybe we have turned that on by accident. Whoa, golden hour. There we go. Let's go and put it into nighttime. So we have got a little bit of flood lighting. That's quite cool, actually, isn't it? So does the co-pilot get similar controls?
Lufthansa 906. Descend and maintain flight level 340. Cleared for the Logan 2 hotel arrival into Heathrow.
Descending to flight level 340. Cleared for the Logan 2 hotel arrival into Heathrow, Lufthansa 906.
Yeah, it's quite dim, isn't it? Let's go and move it back into the afternoon, shall we? Make it look pretty. No GPS position being reported. What have we done to it?
Brussels Control, Lufthansa 906, flight level 210.
Lufthansa 906, radar contact.
That seemed to be a bug. By cycling it, it came back to life. Okay, so 4 minutes to go until we're overhead Bruges.
Flight level 330. Ryanair 772 Zulu, radar contact.
So we decided, yeah, there is no VOR down here. There's only the Costa VOR over there. Let's have a little look at Navigraph, because this has got the VFR charts in it now. So we're heading down towards Bruges, which is over here. So let's see. Look, it's very dense, isn't it, this chart? So a lot of information stacked on top of each other.
Brussels Control, Viking 1315, flight level 340.
Viking 1315, radar contact.
Almost there, almost in Bruges. And then we do a U-turn, basically. Here's the old part of the town. Should we do this from in the aeroplane? So if I go and put head tracking on, we turn the autopilot off. I'll come back to 75% power and we'll circle the town. The city, I should say. Let's move the sun up so people get to see this, because in the, yeah, it looks very pretty, but you can't actually see what we're looking at, can you? There we go. It's a bit easier. Of course, this has got live weather back on, so we're getting this wonderful ground mist that was accurate to earlier today. straightening the heading bug up the direction we want to be going.
Brussels Control, Sky Moldova 412, flight level 310.
Sky Moldova 412, radar contact.
Since there aren't any major landmarks right below us, let me tell you about the closest city, Blankenberge. Blankenberge is a lively Belgian coastal city that really comes alive in the summer. It's famous for its long sandy beach and the iconic
Brussels
pier,
Control,
which was
Speedbird
originally
68
built in
Hotel, flight
1933
level 380.
and is one of the only piers of its kind in
So it's
Belgium.
out there in the mist.
The city has a history as a seaside resort dating back to the 19th century,
Brussels Control,
when people would
Oscar
flock
3
here
Alpha
for the
Charlie,
fresh
flight
sea
level
air,
300.
long before sunscreen was a thing. You might spot the Belle and
Oscar 3
Pope
Alpha
style
Charlie,
villas
radar
from
contact.
above, a reminder of the days when wealthy Belgians would spend their holidays here.
Okay, so we're heading back in towards, first of all, Brielle, and then over to Rotterdam, and then back towards Lelystad. So it's flying along the coast now. So if we go and switch this over to nav mode, it should track the GPS track for us. And it's doing so. Look, it's crabbing sideways to grab the track, which you can see here on the nav instrument, because we're in GPS mode. Oh no, it's had a mistake, look. So let's just put this back again. I did this earlier, exactly the same trick. So it hasn't got the appropriate leg illustrated. So what we go is flight plan, put the cursor in here, roll it to the next one and press menu and activate leg and press enter and enter again. And now it's lit up this leg appropriately.
Brussels Control.
So then we can press nav.
November, flight level 170.
And it will track back onto, there we go, onto this leg.
November, radar contact.
Makes sense? So the airplane's just turning in to an intercept angle with the track. So we got the Costa VOR 110.05. Should we do some VOR navigation for a change then? So 110.05. So this should wake up, and it has done. And we want to be leaving it on a course of 38 degrees, so we need to go and change the course. And then we need to switch this back to VLOC mode. So what this really means is the track is to our left. So if we were to press Ctrl-Alt-Z and go heading mode on this, it's just doing roll hold at the moment if neither is activated. So you'll see the airplane turn back across the track. Is the distance measuring working, by the way? Whoops. It's not, is it? Interesting. Why is that not working? That's interesting. So, yeah, our 38-degree track isn't quite the same as the GPS track. It's not an exact science. Look, we're coming out towards the 38-degree track. So then we would have to turn the heading to 38 to keep the needle in the middle. It's probably going to be there somewhere.
Since there aren't any major landmarks directly below us, let me tell you about the closest city, Middelburg. Middelburg is one of the oldest cities in the Netherlands, originally founded as a fortress.
Notice this doesn't tell you whether you're going to or from the VOR either.
Hub during the Dutch Golden Age.
The worst part is the DME doesn't seem to work, unless I'm doing something wrong, of course.
Canals. Middelburg's Abbey, which dates back to the 12th century, is especially impressive from the air with its tall tower known as Langejan. Locals joke you can see it from anywhere in Zeeland. The city was heavily damaged during World War II, but was painstakingly rebuilt. So what you see today is a mix of medieval charm and post-war resilience.
135.425 Lufthansa 906.
The reason I'm saying about London Control is London is just over here. There's a lot of airplanes in the air, aren't there? So if we put ourselves back on GPS tracking, and obviously by doing that it would have switched off nav. So if we turn that back on, it will crab back across and intercept and go to the next waypoint. Now we've got daytime back on, we don't need the internal lighting switched on, which is wasting power. So at the moment we're flying over Middelburg. Hi Sarah, what can you tell us about Middelburg?
Middelburg is one of the oldest cities in the Netherlands, originally founded as a fortress against Viking raids in the 9th century. The city became an important trading hub during the Dutch Golden Age, and its historic center is still full of beautiful old buildings and canals. Middelburg's Abbey, which dates back to the 12th century, is especially impressive from the air with its tall tower known as Lange Jan. Locals joke you can see it from anywhere in Zeeland. The city was heavily damaged during World War II, but was painstakingly rebuilt.
Yeah, that's
so what
just a
you
repeat
see
of what we
today
heard
is a
earlier.
mix of medieval charm and post-war resilience.
So on the GPS, if we pull this back, 10 minutes to get to the next waypoint, 29 miles. So I'm going to use that 10 minutes as an opportunity to go and check how I get to the transponder. So shift and 4 took us overhead, and the transponder was right there. Okay. So which view gave us the external lights? Shift 5, Shift 6, Shift 7. It's Shift 7,
Papa
isn't
Hotel
it?
Sierra Foxtrot November. Descend and maintain flight level 110.
Down to flight level 110. Papa Hotel Sierra Foxtrot November.
So if we press Shift 7 and pan upwards, then that doesn't do what I thought. It's Shift 5 we want for the landing lights. And it's the external light switches, isn't it? Taxi and landing lights. And port 2 on up. I'm busy writing the procedure while we're flying this leg, if you're wondering what I'm up to.
At our 12 o'clock, just a few miles out, you'll spot the Grevelingen Meer. This massive saltwater lake was created after the North Sea flood of 1953, when the Dutch decided they'd had enough of surprise swimming lessons and built the Brouwers Dam as part of the Delta Works. The Grevelingen Meer is now the largest saltwater lake in Western Europe and is a hotspot for sailing, windsurfing, and even scuba diving. Yes, people actually dive here to explore old shipwrecks and spot seahorses. The lake is also a haven for birdwatchers, with thousands of migratory birds stopping by each year.
Okay, I think I'm more or less there with the procedure. It's run to about 9 pages so far. Oh, I haven't got configuring the GPS in it. Post engine start, cockpit. So I've got the various switches. So GPS. So hopefully, after completing this flight a little bit later, I'll go and put the functional procedure out, but I may actually, no, I'm going to hold it back until in the week because I want to go through and simplify it. There's a lot of jumping around where it's completely not required. It's a little bit odd. like putting the nav lights on after doing some of the other steps. There's no logical reason for it. They may as well go on when the anti-collision lights go on, which I'm just fixing now, which takes an entire jump around the cockpit out of the procedure. Okay, we can see we are approaching. I've forgotten the name of the place. I'm just going to double check. It's Brielle, wasn't it? Yes. Which is again one of the areas of interest that's been upgraded as part of the update to the simulator. Some impressive updates to the scenery, isn't there? Like this flood defense here. Well, it's obviously a hydro power facility, isn't it? It's very cool. I do like the propeller animations. They do look good. So this is Brielle just coming, I think, with the church in the middle. Let's come out of autopilot then, and we'll circle it before we carry on across the countryside again. So I'll just skip to one side. There's an old medieval town. You can see the fortifications around the outside. If I go a little bit closer to the town,
at
as
our
we pass
12
over.
o'clock, just a few miles out, you can spot the Voornsduin Nature Reserve. This area is a patchwork of sand dunes, wetlands, and forests, and it's one of the most biodiverse spots in the Netherlands. The dunes were formed thousands of years ago by the wind and sea, and today they're home to rare orchids, wild ponies, and a surprising number of bird species. Over 800 have been recorded here. The Dutch have been protecting this landscape since the early 20th century, and it's a favorite for hikers, cyclists, and anyone who likes their scenery with a side of salty sea breeze.
Hi Sarah, can you tell us about the fortifications at Brielle, sorry.
The fortifications at Brielle are some of the best preserved star-shaped defenses in the Netherlands, built in the late 16th and early 17th centuries to protect the town from Spanish forces during the 80 Years' War. You can still see the original apronarts, bastions, and moats from the air, forming a distinctive geometric pattern. Brielle is famous for being captured by the Sea Beggars in 1572, which was a turning point in Dutch independence. The town celebrates this event every year with a lively reenactment. Locals love to dress up as rebels and Spanish soldiers.
Okay, continue on. Oh dear, it's been a bit of a hefty accident there. I'm there. Okay, should we go via Rotterdam? So if we go and spin the heading bug around slightly. Bring ourselves back down onto our track. If we go for nav mode, we're at 2,500 feet nearly.
Brussels Control, Speedbird 35, flight level 360. Speedbird 35, radar contact.
Let's go and press pass off right in the window so we get to see Rotterdam from the front of the aeroplane as we pass over. Try and move the view down slightly and move the camera. Oh, we can't get the camera up any further. So there's the Swan Bridge, I understand it's called, because of the white, graceful support there.
Brussels Control, Transavia 5 November, flight level 160.
Transavia 5 November, radar contact.
Oh, that ship's had a bit of an accident there. It is incredible, isn't it?
About 4 kilometers out, you'll spot Plastic Park. This park has been a favorite spot for Rotterdam families since it opened in 1923. It's not just a regular park, it's a mix of playgrounds, gardens, and even a little zoo. From up here you can see the winding paths and lakes that make it look almost like a giant board game. It was originally created to give city kids a taste of nature, and over the years, it's become a place where generations have learned to ride bikes, feed goats, and probably lose a few ice creams to sneaky ducks.
Okay, so we're on our way back to Lelystad. How are we doing on fuel? Let's have a look at the systems on the aeroplane. See if it's all okay. Fuel quantity, yeah, we got plenty. Enough to get back to LittleNavMap anyway. I'll leave us in the cockpit while we're flying along. Let's have a look at the estimate on the FMC. So 15 minutes to get to the destination.
aren't any major landmarks directly below us, let me tell you about the closest city, Gouda. Gouda is world famous for its cheese, which has been traded here since the Middle Ages. The city itself dates back to the 12th century, and its historic center is full of beautiful old buildings and canals.
Oscar, Romeo,
St.
Kilo
John's
Echo,
Church in
direct
Gouda
final.
is the
Clear to the
longest church
ILS
in
runway,
the Netherlands,
8 approach.
and is
Descend and
renowned
maintain
for its
altitude
stunning
3500 feet until established.
Down to 3500, cleared for the ILS 8 approach, Oscar, Romeo, Kilo Echo.
Okay, just a few more miles and we're back at LittleNavMap. So let's go and start thinking about our approach. If we contact the tower now at LittleNavMap, they may even give us straight in on runway 05. We'll find out. The wind looks like it supports that, but they might not be seeing that because they'll be seeing live weather. 108.55 for the ILS, but we want to see the comm radio, don't we? Okay, have I managed to get rid of the... There we go. Tower 123830. So, comm radios. 123 830. Lelystad Tower, DHL X-Ray Golf Sierra approaching from the southwest, requesting full stop landing.
X-Ray Golf Sierra. Enter the control via Bravo arrival route. Expect runway 23. Report Bravo.
Expecting runway 23, will report Bravo. X-Ray Golf Sierra, requesting vectors.
Till X-Ray Golf Sierra, I need you on an extended downwind for a bit. Climb flight level 080, turn right heading 060 vectors for the visual runway 23 approach.
Climb flight level 080. Climbing flight level 080, turning right heading 060, vectors for visual runway 23, X-Ray Golf Sierra. So we want to be at 8,000 feet for some reason. So we'll take the altitude hold off and we'll go climb please, and we'll watch the vertical speed go mad, and we'll open the engines up, and we need to turn to 60 degrees. Which is what we're doing at the moment. That's 4,000 feet, just going through. I wonder why they want us at 8,000 feet. That seems incredibly high. We'll just listen to the vectors now.
At our 1 o'clock, about 4 kilometers out, you'll spot Deerguard Park. This green
Not
space
from this
is a
altitude,
favorite
we
for
won't.
locals in Hilversum who want to escape the hustle and bustle. It's been a recreational spot for decades. The area was once part of the city's old zoo, which
So
explains
I'm
the
going to
name
go and
Deerguard,
disable
which means zoo in Dutch.
the
Though the animals have
intercom
long since
for
moved
the tour
out,
guide.
and it's now all about picnics, jogging, and lazy afternoons. From above, you can see the winding paths and open fields that make it a perfect spot for flying a kite. Or, if you're feeling ambitious, maybe even a drone. The park is also a popular spot for community events. And if you look closely, you might catch a glimpse of locals playing a very serious game of Dutch lawn bowling.
So we're coming in at 8,000 feet as requested by the tower at Lelystad. We're just climbing through 7, nearly there. And unfortunately the other end of the runway is visual, as they've said, so we're not going to have the luxury of ILS, so we'll just come in visually, it'll be fine. And I bet the transition altitude actually around here is not that high. So Lelystad charts approaches for runway 23. Are they doing this with us? Max 2,000 feet, mandatory 3. That makes no sense. Unless they're going to drop us back down. Lelystad Tower, DHL, X-Ray Golf Sierra, now at 8,000 feet. In fact, we've gone beyond it, haven't we? Because I wasn't watching and it doesn't stop.
Del X-Ray Golf Sierra, continue present altitude. Report Bravo for landing.
Continuing present altitude, will report Bravo for landing. So we are kind of on track to do this. So I'm going to drop back down to 3,000. Lelystad Tower, DHL, X-Ray Golf Sierra descending to 3,000 feet for the approach runway 23. There's the runway. Let's get the landing lights sorted out, shall we? Should put the yoke back on. Might be an idea. So we just came through 3,000 feet. Let's go in altitude hold for the moment then. And do we have any... So at 124 we need to be at 3,000, which is there. So we're just flying out this way a little way. The airfield. Rather than doing the procedure, should we actually ask to come straight in runway 23 and stop messing around? Lelystad Tower, DHL X-Ray Golf Sierra requesting straight in runway 23 for full stop landing.
X-Ray Golf Sierra. Enter the control via Bravo arrival route. Expect runway 23. Report Bravo.
We'll report Bravo, X-Ray Golf Sierra. It's annoying, isn't it? I wonder if we declare an emergency. Let's try it. Lelystad Tower, X-Ray Golf Sierra reporting emergency, requesting straight in runway 23, full stop landing.
Del X-Ray Golf Sierra, runway 23, cleared to land. Winds calm.
Cleared to land, runway 23, thank you, X-Ray Golf Sierra. And the emergency is our cup of tea is going to get cold. It worked. I'm just reading the live stream. I know it's cheating. It worked though, didn't it? And it was worth a go because that's how we find out if these things work. So declared an emergency and they let us straight in instead of flying the extended downwind. Very cool. So what's the speed doing? 100 and let's go and slow down a little bit and get the gear down then.
Approaching runway 23.
Whoa! Yeah, there's something seriously wrong with the flight model. You almost have to either fly it into the runway or pull the power back, and it obviously just crashes into the floor.
X-Ray Golf Sierra, welcome to Lelystad. Taxi to apron I-4, cargo 67 via Sierra 4, Sierra India 4. Stay on this frequency.
Taxiing, and we'll stay on this frequency. X-Ray Golf Sierra. Seeing as the scenery isn't great, and it doesn't really give us anywhere to park, we're going to go up this way, which is the correct way anyway. I'm going to chop this coach to pieces first. And see if we can loop round behind and still fit in here. Yeah, I don't think there's a hope that we're going to fit in that gap. We can try though, can't we? Nope. What we can do is our wing higher than his? Yeah. But just the Huey can't take off while we're here. Should we have a look outside and see if there's a nice animation? It's not bad. What else can we turn off then? Generators can come off. The alternators can come off. The internal lights can come off. Nav lights off. Anti-collision lights off. I don't know why I'm being so careful about this, because I don't think it's this accurately simulated, to be honest. But and batteries can come off. So the tablet lets us open various doors. So if we go to ground and open the left rear door, and then we wander down. Can't wander very quickly, can we? That's the wrong view to do that with. Yeah, we'll just do it from here. So you do get the stairs open up. Anyway, there we go. So it's got a few rough edges. Hopefully Inibuilds will do an update to it to round some of those edges off, but otherwise it's really good fun. The flight model is the biggest problem. Once you get into final approach, it's got this really horrid behaviour where it just loses all lift as soon as you pull the power back. So you can't really flare it, which is a real problem really. It's a shame. Anyway. Yeah, so someone said it lands like a turboprop stone. I would say more like an anvil. But yeah. It's pretty good.
Juliet Whiskey, Whiskey, runway 23, taxi by Foxtrot, Sierra, Sierra 7, hold short of runway 05, then November 3, November.
I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you ever so much for following along. I'll try and get the startup procedure out, perhaps this evening, maybe early next week. Okay, see you again soon. Take care.